Hello everyone, my name is Diane and I'm from Di Di's Crafty Corner. Today I'm here with the Not Too Shabby Shop to share the stamp and die set from the stamp and die set of the month called From Our Kitchen. So my project today is going to be with one of these adorable jars. I'm going to be using the one down here on the bottom with the heart. So cute. I like all of them, but that one is so cute. And I'm also going to be using the matching dies. Now these dies work fabulously. No issues, they cut perfect. All right, so my idea for this card today was to do my own background. So of course we're going to use that cute little blueberry. I've already stamped it quite a few times to test my coloring of a blueberry. So that's why it's a little discolored. And along with that little blueberry, I'm going to be using the scoop, a couple of hearts, and the sentiment, "You fill me with happiness." Now, I love the way these sentiments have dies that cut them out. Fabulous. Love, love, love. All right, I have cut everything out. I've got my little blueberry on my stamping block. And look, they look gorgeous, right? They cut out perfect. I love these dies. They work great. And I've got bad eyesight, so I'm telling you, they work great. All right, let's get busy with a little bit of stamping. I'm going to take the little blueberry on that tiny little stamp block, and I'm going to use my favorite ink for doing Copic coloring, and that's the Gina K Designs. Now, I love this ink for doing, it's really black. It's a really solid black, and I really love it for my stamped images, but you got to give it a minute. You got to let it set for a minute, or sometimes if your markers are really juicy and you go right to it, it could run a little bit. You know, your marker could pick up a little of that black. So just let it sit for just a minute. It doesn't take long, really, I promise. So I'm going to try as much as I can to make this as random with these blueberries as possible. Now I am not going to fill up the entire page because I'm going to be putting, well, there it is, some sort of a panel in the middle of it. So I'm just going to try to turn and twist and twist and turn and fill up just the outside border or the outside frame with these blueberries. And I'm trying to make sure that I get them like right there. I just did 3 or 4 in a row. So, but I am going to go off the paper because this is my final cut. This is the actual panel that I'm going to be using. So when you're using your panel that you're not going to cut down, make sure you go off the edge. You want to go off the edge in all of your lines, right? So that it looks like this is a piece of pattern paper, like you've cut it out. Now the other thing I could have done with this that I didn't do, and it would have looked fabulous, I'm going to tell you it would have, is if I had colored around the blueberries in a complementary color. So like a very light yellow. If I had just taken a light yellow after I colored the blueberries, or even before, in my case before would have been perfect, and just colored around, that would have made it. But I love clean and simple, and I love white on white, so just having the blueberries on one of the panels was good enough for me. All right, so I'm coloring in the blueberries with the markers, which are BV11, BV4, which is actually called blueberry, and BV17. I'm starting with BV11, which is actually the lighter of them, and I'm not going to make you sit through all of this, I promise. I'm just not. And then I'm going to go with the darkest, which is BV17, and make myself a little C, like my darkest area. And once I've done that all the way around, I'm going to come back with the blueberry color, which is BV04, and I'm just going to blend out where that C is. And then you're hardly going to be able to notice the darkest to lightest area from there, but in the final card you'll be able to see it. And then when I'm done with that, the lightest color, the blueberry color, when I go back to the lightest color, I'm just going to fill it out a little bit, still leaving that little white area. Now my idea behind that little white area was to give it a highlight, but it's going to be a light yellow highlight. So I'm going to come in with my Y11, which is my lightest yellow for this card, and right over where it's the lightest on the blueberry in a little tiny C, can you see it there? I'm going to do it in yellow. And I just think that that plays in with the card very nicely, and that's why I'm telling you, if I had done the background in yellow, it would look great. Taking those same markers here, I cannot figure out why my camera will not focus. I don't understand it. And I'm going to color in my jar. Now, while I was making this card, I really saw pickles. That's not what I'm doing. Because when I sat down to do this card, when I first saw this jar, I really believed the jar was covered in a fabric. So I thought the illustrator of this stamp set had wanted it to look like it was covered in like a crepe paper or a pretty fabric and had a little heart label on the front of it, you know. So that's where my mind was going. So of course my jar is filled with blueberry jam. Of course it is. And it's covered in fabric, including the ruffle on the top and the jar, and just my lid is going to be, you know, the lid. So it's going to be purple everywhere except for around the ring, because I'm imagining that the ruffle on top is underneath the flap, which is where you would seal the jar. I don't know. I'm hoping I did good by this one. I'm not sure. So the illustrations of this stamp has a little area where it is meant for you to color in your colored liquids or your colored stuff inside, and there's still an area marked out for you to color in your glass, so it really looks like the glass is all the way around the jar. It is ingenious. I love it. It's beautiful, but that's not what I did. I decided, since I was covering mine in this beautiful purple fabric, it would have to be going all the way to the end. So I didn't use that in this card. And a card coming up, you'll see that I colored in so that it looked like glass around. All right, we're done with the coloring. I've colored in everything. I've got my scoop, my hearts, my blueberries, my sentiment, and now I've popped up the blueberries on with some foam tape, and I'm taking the panel, which is different than what you saw in the beginning because I decided the scallops were just a bit too much, and I'm adding some pop dots from an old kit from Spellbinders, I believe. Don't even know. I'm trying to use up foam in my craft room, and I'm going to pop my white layer up. I'm going to add my jar, and here I'm showing you a boo-boo. Do you see the die sitting right there? When I pop dotted my sentiment, I cut off, what did I cut off? I cut off the H. Yeah, in width, I cut off the H. So I went to go pop it down, and I'm like, it's not spelled right. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice it's not spelled right. And I went back and looked at my stamp. Of course it was spelled right. I cut it off. It's right up there on the top of the mat. If you see the little white piece of paper, that's the H. So I had to recut it out, re-put it on. Accidents happen, right? When you're crafting, accidents happen. So the things that are popped up on this card are the littlest heart, the blueberry, which I put a little slice in my scoop and stuck my blueberry inside my scoop. And I popped up the jar, the little heart, and my sentiment. So when I did my my jar, I went ahead and added some glue on the back of those pop dots just in case I needed to move it around. So yeah, this is pretty good, right? I think it looks good. So I wanted to put a little more shine on it because purple for me never looks like it's bright enough, right? So I added some little white highlights to my yellow hearts, and then I also added the white highlight to the top of my jar and a white highlight to my blueberries. And that actually did turn out pretty cute. I thought that was good. So right there, I went ahead and I glued down that heart. It was real wobbly. It was making me feel like it was going to come off before it ever made it in the mail or to an organization, because I do like to give my cards to organizations as well. And so I glued it down, and now I'm just going to go in and add the finishing touches with the white highlight on the top of the jar. And I'm going to color in any places in those blueberries where I came out of the line in a couple of places with my white gel marker as well. And it's looking pretty good, right? So now we just need a little bit of glitter. So I brought out the Nuvo glitter pen, which is, I've got a bunch of these. That's just the one I chose this time. And I'm putting some glitter on the ring of the jar, the hearts. I also put glitter on the fabric of the ruffle. I know. And on the scoop on the handle. And then I sporadically colored in some of the blueberries on my designer sheet as well. Not all of them. I just kind of sporadically did it. And then that concluded the glitter for this card. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you would like to follow us along for this stamp and die of the month called From Our Kitchen, you can follow us with the hashtag N2S From Our Kitchen. You can use that hashtag on your own designs using the stamp set, or just follow us along and see what we're doing. Here's the final picture of the card. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!